They called it a magic weapon, but when soldiers pulled the trigger, some found themselves fighting the gun instead of the enemy. The M16 was supposed to revolutionise warfare, a lightweight, high-tech rifle that could outshoot anything on the battlefield. Instead, in the jungles of Vietnam, it became a nightmare for US troops. But was it really as bad as they say? Or was it one of the greatest rifles ever made? And here's the real question. How did a gun designed to save lives end up costing so many? Welcome back to the war. To understand why the M16 became such a legend and a lightning rod of controversy, we have to go back to the 1950s. At the time, the US military was still using the M14, a heavy, powerful rifle that fired a 7.62mm round. It was a beast in open combat, but unwieldy in dense jungle warfare. Meanwhile, America's enemies were wielding the AK-47, cheap, rugged and deadly. The Pentagon needed a new weapon. Enter Eugene Stoner. His creation, the AR-15, was lightweight, easy to handle, and fired a smaller, high-velocity 5.56mm round. The idea? More rounds, less recoil, faster follow-up shots. But the army brass hated it. They clung to the idea that bigger bullets meant better firepower. That was until the Air Force took an interest. Here's a question. Do you think a military should always go for power over speed? Drop your thoughts in the comments. The Air Force saw the AR-15's potential and pushed it into service, eventually leading to its adoption as the M16. But here's where the trouble started. The M16 was meant to give US troops an edge in Vietnam. Instead, it gave them a death sentence. When soldiers arrived in the jungle, they found their rifles failing, catastrophically. Reports came in of M16s jamming in the middle of firefights, leaving men helpless against the Viet Cong. Some soldiers were even found dead next to their disassembled rifles, desperately trying to fix them while under fire. But what went wrong? For starters, the rifle was issued without cleaning kits. The army had claimed it was self-cleaning, which was dead wrong. Vietnam's humidity and dirt clogged the rifle, and with no proper maintenance, failures were inevitable. Worse still, the army changed the gunpowder in the M16's ammunition without testing it. The new powder left behind a sticky residue, turning the rifle into a jam-prone nightmare. At this point, the M16's reputation was in shambles. The soldiers hated it, and the media pounced on the failures. But was the rifle itself really to blame? Hold that thought, because something was about to change everything. With pressure mounting, the US military scrambled to fix the M16. The solution? The M16A1. This improved version came with a chrome-lined barrel to resist corrosion, a forward assist to help clear jams, and most importantly, cleaning kits were finally issued. And suddenly, everything changed. Soldiers, who had once cursed the M16, now praised it. The lighter weight meant they could carry more ammo. The accuracy was unmatched at long range, and with proper care, it proved to be a lethal, reliable weapon. By the late stages of the Vietnam War, the M16 was no longer seen as a liability, but a lifesaver. So why does its early reputation still overshadow its later success? That's because its story didn't end in the Vietnam War. For decades, the world has debated which rifle reigned supreme, the M16 or the AK-47. The AK is a tank. It's dirt simple, built like a brick, and can fire after being buried in mud. The M16, on the other hand, is a precision instrument, more accurate, faster firing, but requiring proper maintenance. Which would you rather have in combat? A rugged brute that never quits, or a sharpshooter that demands care but delivers deadly accuracy? Let us know in the comments. One thing's for sure, the US military doubled down on the M16's design. Over the years, it evolved into the M4 carbine, the rifle of choice for American forces today. But there's one last twist in the rifle's history. Even with decades of service, the M16 has never fully shaken its controversial past. In Iraq and Afghanistan, troops started demanding something with more stopping power, claiming that the 5.56mm round wasn't hitting hard enough. This led to experiments with new rifles, new calibers, and debates over whether the US should switch weapons again. But here's the thing, the M16's DNA is still everywhere. The M4 is an evolution of the M16. The civilian AR-15 dominates the American gun market, and to this day, militaries around the world still use variants of the rifle that once failed so horribly in Vietnam. So was the M16 a failure or a masterpiece? The answer depends on which version you're talking about, and who you ask. The M16 went from a battlefield disaster to one of the most influential rifles in history. It fought in Vietnam, the Cold War, Iraq, and Afghanistan, shaping modern combat along the way. Its legacy is complicated, but one thing is certain, it changed warfare forever. But what about the other side? The gun that went up against it time and time again. Check out our video on the AK-47, the rifle that America's enemies swore by. And don't forget, drop a comment on whether you choose the M16 or the AK-47.
Let's go.
Hi soldiers, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to check back in again soon. That's an order.